What's up, everyone? Welcome into Fantasy Football Office Hours, brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I am Professor Simon, joined by Professor Josh and I'm just kidding, Professor J-Wall. What's up, J-Wall? Glad to have you here joining us for some office hours today.
Glad to be here.
Guys, If you do not already follow our bud J-Wall over on Twitter, make sure you go follow him at JWall_FF and subscribe to his YouTube page at 360 Fantasy. He's putting out a bunch of awesome content. You want to make sure you're not missing out on that. And he's here to help answer some of these questions with us today. So I think we should go ahead and jump straight into the first question.
Some of these questions are hitting me like personally. Like these are like decisions I have to make in fantasy league. So I'm already seeing a couple. So
Mike wants to know, I have OBJ and saw that both Renfro and Ayuk are available on waivers. Should I drop OBJ for either of these players? Josh, what do you think here?
Oh, I hate this question because OBJ's upside is so immense. Like what he could become with the Rams, and he just had a great week, his second week playing for them. So I have a lot of hope for Odell Beckham, but when it comes down to it, I'd rather have both Hunter Renfrow and Brandon Ayuk on my fantasy team. Renfrow, especially in a PPR league, Renfrow. So yes, I would. I don't love it, but I would.
Well, what about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I read this and it was like, should I drop for either? And I was like, yes, for both. But I would also prefer Renfrow over Ayuk, I think, just because the consistency and he continues to do it. I know last week on Office Hours, we were ranting and raving about Renfrow, and he went off. And so, love that, man.
Best week of the season so far.
I hate that OBJ is the guy that you have to drop. I wish there was maybe another name on your roster, but if it is OBJ, if he's the lowest ranked player on your roster for you, then I'm fine with both of these. Carlos wants to know more of a discussion bit with CMC out for another season in a row. Do you guys think he goes into next season as the top pick? Or does that fall to JT or King Henry? And I think you hit it exactly right. I think it's going to be JT and Derrick Henry 1 and 2 next year. And then I'm not even sure CMC's number 3. I think with the injury concerns 2 years in a row, we might see him drop to the middle of the first round behind guys like Alvin Kamara, maybe Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler for sure.
Devontae Adams, even.
Devontae Adams, you said?
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I think we could see Christian McCaffrey fall a little bit in the first round, but he's still a first-round pick. Josh, what do you think here?
For me personally, he falls behind. Well, I think it depends on. Well, Jonathan Taylor is the 101.
Yep, I'm with you
there. That's pretty locked in at this point. But after that, it's probably Derrick Henry. But if Derrick Henry doesn't make another appearance this year, that does concern me still for what his value is going to be going into next season. I think people want to see him on the field again at least once more. So if that doesn't happen, I still actually think Christian McCaffrey is going to be probably the third pick in most drafts.
I think I'd have him fourth now that I think about it. I think I would take 3 of the names that we said already. I would take Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler in that order, and then Christian McCaffrey is the 4th guy for me.
That's fair.
Navin says, would you drop Khalil Herbert or Jeff Wilson if you weren't the Mitchell or Montgomery manager? Josh, what do you think here?
So we're hitting this point in the season where you're either loading up your bench with possible league winners, or you are trying to do whatever you can to win every week. So it depends what situation you're in, right? If you're in a situation where these guys aren't helping you, you still got to win, and someone you're going to pick up is going to help you, then that's fine. But Khalil Herbert and Jeff Wilson both have value, especially if the people in front of them were to get injured, So they have, I wouldn't say league winning upside, but they are every week starters if the person in front of them were to get injured. And those are guys I do want on my bench. So they don't have to be dropped by any means. But if you need a win and you think the person you're going to pick up is going to help that, then absolutely.
Yeah, I tend to be with you, Josh. I prefer this the time of year if I can hold on to backup running backs, I'm going to. But if you got to drop them, you got to drop them because you got to make the playoffs first before you can possibly get any return on value from a backup. J-Wall, what do you think here?
I'm in a similar boat, but I think Khalil Herbert really does have that value. We've seen it when Monty went out. And, yeah, we've seen some from Jeff Wilson in the past, and I have a soft spot for him for sure. But I would be definitely I wouldn't feel bad at all if I had to drop Jeff Wilson. I really don't think he would be like a RB1 or maybe not even an RB2 if Mitchell was out and whatnot, just because they might even bring someone else in. they rarely stick with just one guy, but they seem to like Mitchell. But outside of that, I'm not sure that they would do the same with Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, I get that, and you're 100% right. There's a little bit less predictability in that Shanahan offense with Jeff Wilson, so I would prioritize Herbert as well. Jay Wall pitch in here saying the current RBs I have are Chubb, Zeke, and Pollard. My wide receivers are Allen, Terry, DJ Smith, and OBJ. Should I be confident going into the playoffs, or should I be looking to trade a receiver? Yeah, you should feel pretty confident, I think. Josh, what do you think about this team? Where would you grade it?
So yeah, I mean the running back position is a little concerning. What do I grade it? I'll give this team if Zeke's 100% healthy, which I don't think we really think that right now. It's an A. But with the issue Zeke, I mean, if Zeke was announced out, it would help your team honestly, because Tony Pollard is then a top 10 running back in my opinion. However, with Zeke, probably splitting the workload with Tony Pollard. If you're only starting 2 wide receivers, yeah, I'm fine making a trade if you're still able to trading, packaging, I'd even be willing to package Zeke and Pollard plus like DJ Moore you'd have to get top tier talent though.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. The depth's a little scary, but I'm totally cool with it. Jay, what do you think here?
I like it. I'm not sure you can be super confident really going into the playoffs ever, just because fantasy football is such a crapshoot. And injuries happen and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, like you guys were saying, like I like the team. You could use more depth, but I mean, every team really could.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. Carlos says DK has been utterly disappointing the last 3 weeks. Claypool seems to be trending up as of late. DK or Claypool this week? J-Wall, what do you think on this one?
So obviously, the reason DK has been so disappointing has been because of Russ. It's not like Russ has been playing really well. So that is something to take into consideration. It's not necessarily just DK, but Russ has just been really destroying that value. But yeah, I mean, right now, I don't trust Russ, which means I don't trust DK, and I would go Claypool. I hate to say it, but I think I'd go Claypool.
Gosh.
I got this decision I have to make in one of my leagues myself where I'm deciding. I'm deciding. I was just sitting there thinking about it. I was like, even before earlier today, I was like, am I really like even considering playing Claypool over DK Metcalf? And I am considering it. It's a good question. But however, with the struggles Ben Roethlisberger's had, where it seems like he's able to get to his wide receivers better than Russell Wilson at this point. I do expect Russell Wilson to figure it out one of these weeks. I know the production from Metcalf has been concerning lately, but I'm still going with DK Metcalf here. I'm still going with DK Metcalf.
God, if there was any other person besides Big Ben throwing the ball to Claypool, this would be like a slam dunk Claypool for me, the way this Seahawks offense has looked. But like, I don't trust either of these offenses right now that much. I guess I trust the Steelers offense a little bit more, but I trust the receiver that DK is a little bit more than I trust Claypool. Yeah. This is tough. You know what? I think the upside, this sounds crazy. The upside's there with Claypool. He just needs one play to kind of return fantasy value right now, but DK can do that too. Flip a coin. I am so torn on this one right now. You have really messed me up. I think I would, if you put a gun in my head and make me choose, I'm probably going DK. I'll put DK in my lineup and just pray that it's a get right game for them.
Why was DK Metcalf playing better with Geno Smith? Why?
It doesn't make any sense. Now, Bam has quite the question for us. Flex 2, Burita, Michelle, Knox, Renfro, Marvin Jones, Kenny G, Boyd. But if Kamara is out, he would move Michelle up. Since Henderson is most likely out, then it would have to be an alternative. So he's if Henderson's out, Michelle's definitely one of the guys for me. And it's looking like Kamara's going to play. He was at practice today. So let's just make that assumption when first answering it. If Henderson misses time, it's definitely Michelle for me. And then Renfro's the next guy up, Michelle and Renfro. If Henderson does play, it is Renfro, and man, that's where it gets tough, right?
It's Dawson Knox.
I didn't even see Knox in there. Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Knox. I completely skipped over that name. J-Wall, what do you think here? J-Wall's frozen. J-Wall, what do you think on this one?
Am I back?
You're back.
You're back. You're so back.
It was literally right as you were talking, like it just like went blank. And so I was like, was that me? It got real quiet. Anyway, I'm the same. Like I would go Renfro and Knox. Like I think that's a pretty easy one for me. I do like Boyd, but I mean that wide receiver room is so crowded, and you literally never know when to expect him to have a good game and to get the targets. So Knox and Renfro are easily the safest options.
I do want to say something. You're saying if Kamara's out, I would move Michelle up since Henderson is most likely out. Let's just say, for an example, Henderson's not out. It would be Breida that you're moving up, right, guys? Yeah, not Michelle.
If Henderson's playing, I'm starting Breida over Michelle.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Just making sure there.
I expect Breida's his snap share is still significantly less than Devin Singletary, but Zach Moss was a healthy scratch. Breida's getting more and more work, and he looks great when he's touching the ball. He's at I think it's like in the 30s snap share right now, while Singletary's in the 60s. I would expect that to kind of level out as the season progresses down the stretch, because Breida has looked really good with the ball in his hand. Jay in here says, Carolina and Tennessee running backs, do you prefer as pickups? Which Carolina and Tennessee RBs do you prefer as pickups? And Jay,
they're all on buys.
Yeah, they are all on buys. That is a great point. Jay Wall. So we'll start with Carolina. Chuba Hubbard or Amir Abdullah? Which guy do you prefer to pick up?
Chuba.
I'm with you there. It's Chuba for me as well. Josh?
Chuba for me as well.
And then which Tennessee running back?
I will say that all of these guys are pickups, though.
Yes. I would go Hilliard for the pickup on the Tennessee running backs. I'm going to go Dontrell Hilliard. It seems like they're splitting work on the ground, and if one of the backs is going to get the receiving work, which is not a guarantee, we saw this past week, they're not always involved in the receiving game. It's going to be Hilliard, so I'll take the one with the receiving upside. Josh, what do you think on the Tennessee
Hilliard
side?
Proved a lot to me this week. I would definitely be going Hilliard, but Foreman also looked pretty solid as just a pure runner. I think Hilliard has a little bit more of a burst to him. They're probably going to eat into each other the rest of the season, but I'll take the pass catching back here.
Jay, well, what about you, Hilliard or Foreman?
I'm actually taking Deontay Foreman here, and I know that goes against most of what I always say when I'm like pass catching running back, pass catching option. That's the upside, but I think Foreman is a safer option than Hilliard.
I think that's fair. They've shown that they trust using him as the primary ball carrier in that offense. So I don't hate that call, Jay. Well, I'll take the upside with a little bit more uncertainty in how he's going to be used. Scott Fish has a question for you, Jay Wall. If someone kidnapped JL, we don't know where he is. It's possible that has happened. Would you eat a Reese's peanut butter cup in exchange for his release?
I'm sorry.
So Scott and I bonded on eating Reese's, and that's actually how
Reese's delicious.
That's how I got my invite to Scott Fishbowl, actually. So, awesome. That's a tough one. It's like, do I really
this is a tough one.
I think I like him as much as Reese's, so probably not.
JL, I'll eat the Reese's for you. Sorry.
It doesn't count.
Don't
we
say
like Reese's.
You just got me saying it is
Reese's.
It is Reese's.
Mm-hmm.
Reese's.
Mm-hmm.
It belongs to Reese. That is who it belongs to. It is Reese's.
You know what? Reese can go do something else.
Navin says, would you hold the Saints DST this week? I have the Eagles and the Rams DST on waivers. Josh, what do you think here?
I think the Eagles DST is such an easy pickup, and maybe Jay Wall, you can attest to this. They have such a great schedule the rest of the season. But I'm just going to check out the Saints matchups real fast. Dallas, New York Jets. So week 14, they're good. Tampa Bay, you're not going to want to play them. Miami, that's fine. Carolina, probably. So they got some good matchups too. I'd probably just pick up the Eagles and roll with them.
Yeah, that's where I am as well. Jay, well, as the Eagles fan, are you agreeing here, or are you going against Go Birds? He says
there's not much on that Eagles team for fantasy value, so pick up that defense because that's kind of where it's at.
and the Rams don't have very many good matchups left. I think they have one good matchup. It might be this week, and they haven't been playing well from a fantasy perspective regardless.
And a lot of times those games are high scoring, and the Eagles can't score, so those usually
don't have to worry about that.
Scoring.
Guys, so Mike has a question for us. He said, follow up to my original question. He was asking about these wide receivers during the last show, but he also has Gronk and Logan Thomas at tight end. Could he drop one of those guys? Josh, what do you think here?
My other wide receiver. So I'm sorry. What was the original question? Let's see. So Mike, I have OBJ and saw that both Renfro and Ayuk are available on waivers. Should I drop OBJ for either of these players? So let's go back there. I'm sorry, Mike. Let's see. What was your question? Follow up to my original question. My other wide receivers are D-Hop, T. Higgins, and Jefferson. I have Gronk and Thomas at tight end. Could drop one of them?
He was saying like instead of dropping OBJ, he could drop.
Oh yeah.
If I'm doing that, I'm doing Thomas.
Yeah.
But Gronk,
so the question is, should you drop OBJ or Logan Thomas? That's the question, right?
Yeah, but he's showing his other wide receivers to say like, hey, I got these other really good wide receivers.
Yeah, he's loaded at wide receiver.
OBJ.
I would drop OBJ.
Yeah, I mean OBJ or Logan Thomas. I think you could go with either of those and feel comfortable, to be honest.
So the only issue I see arising is Gronk. You know, he's had an injury past, right? There's been injuries this season. So if Gronk gets hurt, that's like the tiebreaker for me. I don't want to drop either one.
Yeah, there could be a guy off waivers that he could pick up, just depending if Gronk did go down. But I like Thomas a lot.
Yeah, this was Logan Thomas's first game back, and it was a fine game. You know, he was on the field a lot, which is very encouraging to see. He played 79% of the snaps, got 6 targets, 3 catches for 31 yards. Not the greatest stats in the world, but pretty solid considering this is his first week back.
I was going to say 6 targets in your first game back is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Logan Thomas is a top 12 tight end for the remainder of the season, most likely. So, yeah, when it comes down to it, I would be dropping OBJ.
I'm dropping OBJ.
All right. Fair enough. EAGLES lost. Eagles lost. Jay had to do it to you. So Pitch Shark coming in here saying with an 18-game season. It's a 17-game season.
18-game fantasy.
Oh, okay. So 18-week season. How about that, right? Do you feel more teams next season will adopt having running back by committee like Chubb and Hunt? If so, will running backs still be ranked as high as wide receivers? So yes and yes. It's kind of so first of all, do you feel that teams next season will adopt more of a running back by committee? I think teams have been doing that for the last 10 years now, right?
Well, yeah, but I would say even more so a little bit this year, I've noticed.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of figured that would be the case because of the extra game.
Mm-hmm. And just like look at the top tier running backs. Look at the running backs that do get all the work. Mm-hmm. Where are they right now? There's not many of them. They're hurt. So yes, I absolutely do that. I think that running back teams have to do this. They have to give multiple running backs carries just because they need they're healthy studs at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So will running backs still be ranked as high as wide receivers? Yes. This is kind of where the zero running back strategy comes in, I think, is that running backs get injured more than wide receivers, right? So if you feel that you're scared about your running backs get injured, then go more of a zero running back strategy. Try to grab the backups that become valuable once the starter gets hurt. But they're going to have to be ranked as high as wide receivers because they're so few and far between that you still are going to need running backs, right, Jaywall?
Yeah, and I think kind of to add on to what you were saying is like I still like to draft at least one running back really high.
Me too.
In startups, but at the same time, I think that like this season has shown like the importance of picking up backup running backs in the later rounds. Like in one of my leagues, I drafted Cam Akers, and in like the 16th round, I ended up picking Henderson because I was like, oh, he's still there. And I almost never like pick up a backup to someone, but the value is just so good. You probably just want to lean to do more so of that next year. Yeah.
I'm more or less with you. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to lay it on you somewhere, Jaywall here, but Bam did it too. HURTS sucks. Hurt sucks. Sorry, I had to do it to you, Jaywall. What's Godwin's trade value? I have Jefferson, Diggs, and Odell Beckham, and Mike Williams, and Bateman. But seems like no one is biting on my trade offers. So what is Godwin's trade value? If you give me a minute, Jaywall, if you want to give me your opinion here, there's a trade chart that we have that we partnered with Peakton High School that provides it for us. I'm going to bring that up real fast. And I'm going to bring it up on my computer so I can show you guys. But what do you think here, Jaywall?
That's such a tough one. Like I would love
Yeah,
to
I know, right?
like Godwin with even someone like Mike Williams to get one of those, top options. And I'm trying to look here, wait for it to load, but at what some of those top options could be, because like I would even do like I don't know, man. Godwin is just kind of inconsistent, and that's what makes it so hard.
Yeah, so I'm about to share this trade value chart that Peaked in High School puts together. That every Wednesday we kind of go over this chart with him. Sorry, I shared the wrong screen here.
You're good.
Share. The anticipation is getting everyone, I can tell. So Chris Godwin, and this was from last week. This is not incredibly updated. So Chris Godwin, they have as a 25.5 point value on this trade chart. So essentially what this chart would tell you, and this is not something that's like one person's opinion. This is taking the consensus of what is happening out there in all the different leagues and what someone's actual value is. So what is Godwin's trade value when it comes down to it? 25.5. That puts him next to Cordell Patterson. If you could get a Cordell Patterson for Chris Godwin and you're desperate at running back, I like it. Leonard Fournette, obviously. Any of these running backs, I'm all about. Even Aaron Jones, I'd be fine with. Just because, like, I like Chris Godwin a lot. I think he's going to have great weeks to come. But at the same time, when it comes down to it, Antonio Brown's going to be back soon. Gronk is back, and we just saw the weeks that both Mike Evans and Godwin had last week. There's so many mouths to feed, and Leonard Fournette's getting so many targets and receptions too, where Godwin's going to be good. Don't get me wrong. It's just like he's going to be inconsistent going forward in my mind. So
I think a guy who I was looking at is a guy like Deebo Samuel. If like his manager is just kind of like, well, he's just becoming a runner. It's not something you can trust. That might be something you could swing like a, like Godwin plus Bateman or OBJ to swing that one. But he's the second overall wide receiver in points per game.
Yeah, so I don't know what your tight end situation looks like either, but like if we look at the tight ends over here, like if you're able to turn Godwin plus a little bit of something, Travis Kelce, obviously I love that, but like George Kittle even, George Kittle, Mark Andrews.
The only thing with Kittle is just this guys get so injured so easily. Like him and Waller have just been so injury prone.
Yeah,
so I'm a little hesitant, but I mean, at the same, if you can get a guy like Kelce, that's easy money.
So Unruly Drift coming in saying Flex 1, Miles Sanders, T. Higgins, Mark Ingram. So let's just remove Mark Ingram if we assume that Kamara's going to play, right? It's T. Higgins for me.
It's T. Higgins for me too. And then let's assume that Kamara doesn't play. Is it T. Higgins or Mark Ingram?
I was just about to ask that as well, Jaylen. I'll still lean T. Higgins here.
I know. I'm dying here. Who do they play?
The Saints. We were just talking about it. They're playing the Cowboys. All right, they're super. T. Higgins and Mark Ingram are going to be super, super close if Kamara doesn't go. I still lean T. Higgins.
I'm going to go T. Higgins too.
All right, fair enough.
I hate to agree with you, but I will here.
Bam, I see you saying something about Deshaun Watson to Pittsburgh. I don't think that's real, right? No, are you just I'm pretty
sure I looked it up and didn't see anything.
All right, let's see. He's back again. My 9-3 10-man PPR team, quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. Any trade suggestions before the offseason? Again, like, I'm assuming this is a dynasty team then, if you're saying that before the offseason, and you have a competitive team here.
Hi, Simon.
I when it comes down to trades, if you're trying to win this year, maybe it's actually trading Derrick Henry.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, that's probably where I would go because your team is pretty good. I think you could win this year. Well, it's 10 man, so.
And you can probably get a lot for Henry in a keeper league. Like that's not a nothing asset. That's a first round pick, top 2 pick next year.
Yeah,
I'm with you guys.
I think someone else would be someone like Gronk because you had Knox already, and Gronk's getting up there in age, has a hard time staying healthy and whatnot. So he'd be another one who I would even possibly package with Henry to get, an Eckler or something like that.
Yeah, that would be badass. That would be badass. I'm all about that. Yeah. So Simon, so what do you think here? Anything you agree just with Derrick Henry, kind of looking to trade him off though?
Yeah, I think it's Derrick Henry, and you probably will have to downgrade a little bit because he's not playing right now unless there's a team that's completely out of it. I'm just saying you're not going to get Jonathan Taylor for Derrick Henry. That's not going to happen, but you might be able to get someone like a tier lower, maybe plus a wide receiver in that range. So Henry's the move I would make as well. Okay, the next question. Chosen Rosen here says, Freiermuth might be out. Do I pick up Cole Kmet? Las Vegas tight end, Jack Doyle, or anyone else?
It's was it Foster
Moreau?
Moreau. Yeah. For me, if Darren Waller's out, my favorite start this upcoming week would be Foster Moreau.
100%.
I'm with you
about
guys.
to say that.
Yeah. So Cole Kmet would be second if Darren Waller ends up playing, but I don't expect Darren Waller to play. Yeah.
Jack Doyle just kind of had a spike week that probably won't ever happen again. So
it's definitely not Doyle.
Oh, yeah, definitely not
Doyle. Full agreement with you guys. Jonathan said, I traded Kelsey, Van Jefferson, Antonio Brown for Renfro, Chase, and Higgins. Did I get fleeced? I have Knox as my backup tight end. I would honestly prefer the Kelsey side, but I understand taking the other side. All three of those pieces are startable each and every week, Renfro, Chase, and Higgins. And you have Knox, which is a serviceable tight end. This might make sense for your team because those pieces on the right are better than any piece not named Kelsey on the left for me right now with Antonio Brown's injury. Josh, how do you feel on this one?
I'm fine with this trade. The Kelsey aspect of it is the only thing that hurts a little bit. But like you said, Simon, those are studs over there on the right side. So I'm fine. No worries.
Yeah.
You didn't get fleeced.
JL says Dynasty 12 team Superflex PPR 7 flex Darrell Henderson or Michael Thomas plus a 2022 third. JL, what do you think here?
Give me Michael Thomas.
Yeah, it's Michael Thomas for me as well. I don't expect Henderson to be the starter next year. His value depreciates greatly in Dynasty.
And I think he'll still have a role, but I think he'll be RB2 at best.
I don't think you'll get Michael Thomas plus a third for him next year.
Yeah, not a chance.
I don't think that's happening. I think this is a good move. JR in his guillotine league says Henderson is my RB2. I can start David Montgomery if Henderson is out, or cut DMont to bid on Alexander Madison or CEH. What do you think?
You would have to cut DMont?
That's what it sounds like, that you would have to cut David Montgomery. Man, that is a tough one because rest of season, who would I rather have on my roster? It's David Montgomery. But as a 1 week fill-in,
Madison.
I would prefer Alexander Madison. So guillotine leagues are all about surviving this week. You have to survive each and every week. I think I would take Madison here, but that hurts. JWall, what do you think?
Who do the Vikings play?
The Lions.
Oh, I wasn't thinking in guillotine, and then
juicy matchup.
In like 1 week, and then I was like, oh yeah, you have to go for it. So yeah, I hate it, but I would do it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Carlos says if Muth clears concussion protocol, Muth or Goddard. Josh, what do you think on this one?
I probably would. I mean, just the fact that Muth is dealing with his issues, I'd probably lean Goddard a little bit.
Yeah, they're close enough for me that's enough to push me to the Goddard side. Jay, are you agreeing?
Yeah.
Pitch Dark says Muth or Logan Thomas rest of season. Jay, what do you think on this one?
Sorry.
You're good.
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
No, I Muth. I like Logan Thomas too.
I'm gonna go Logan Thomas here. Like Josh and I were talking about, how he got 6 targets in his first game back, and I think Heineke will use him a ton.
Yeah. JR says, I probably need to replace Waller. I have Pitts and Hawk. So this is in the guillotine league, if I remember correctly. Should I cut a tight end and bid on Ertz? That was supposed to say Ertz. Sorry, Ertz, not Hurts. I'm not doing it.
Tight ends are loaded.
Yeah, I'm just if you do have to cut one of them, it wouldn't be to pick up Ertz. It would be to pick up someone else. If this is the same league that you're in on the other, like the other question you asked, if this is the same team, cut one of these tight ends to pick up Alexander Madison instead of cutting David Montgomery.
Yeah.
That's what I think you should do if it's the same league.
And I think I would cut, Pitts or Hawk. They're both just kind of brutal teams. One of them.
Who do you guys have more faith in the rest of the season? Pitts or Hawk? That's a tough one for me.
Pitts, I think.
I think Pitts too, just because the touchdowns. I'm just hoping, and I feel like they got to come eventually. He only has one this year, and if he had touchdowns, if he had 5 touchdowns, we would be talking about Pitts in a completely different light this year. We'd be like, oh, Pitts is locked and loaded starter going to next season, tight end 1 kind of deal. So
I think I'm with you guys. I think it's Pitts that I'm more comfortable with. Casey wants to know.
So bad.
He's so bad.
So
I'm sorry, Jared. Casey wants to know, should I keep AJ Brown or trade him?
In what context?
I'm guessing redraft. I think this is a redraft league, if I remember correctly, from Kaysen.
Do you need to win?
Kaysen, if I remember correctly, is already in the playoffs. Said they made the playoffs in their league. So this is a team where they're already in the playoffs. I'm keeping. I don't think you're going to get a piece more valuable than what AJ Brown could likely mean for you in the playoffs. So I'll hold.
Yeah, if you're already in the playoffs, then I'm keeping AJ Brown for sure.
If you can get a top 20 wide receiver for AJ Brown, then okay. Okay.
Would you do it for
redraft,
Michael Pittman? Would you do it for Michael Pittman?
No.
I hate Michael Pittman's schedule, but yeah, I'm not even 100% sure AJ Brown.
I love Michael Pittman, and I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do it for Michael Pittman. Let's see. Let's throw another name out there in that same range. Would you do it for
Jaylen Waddle?
Jaylen Waddle. Damn it, Josh. You beat me to it. Would you do it for Jaylen Waddle? I would take Jaylen Waddle.
In redraft, I don't know if AJ Brown's going to play again this year. I'm actually concerned about it.
Because I don't think Parker or Fuller are really going to come back ever.
Tyler Lockett or AJ Brown.
Oh, don't ask me that.
No, I want no part of Tyler Lockett.
AJ Brown.
Especially with the way Russ is playing.
That's the line. We found it. It's right there with Tyler Lockett. Jared says, I need a wide receiver 3 and a flex or 2 out of Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, Michael Pittman, or Mike Williams. Or do I cut one to go after Mike Evans, Devonta Smith, Hunter Renfrow, or Elijah Moore? Yeah, you can cut Brandon Cooks, I think, to grab Mike Evans I'd cut Brandon Cooks to pick up a couple of those guys.
Mike Evans or Renfrow, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is Cooks the guy you would cut there, or is it Williams? I know Williams had the hot start.
I would cut Cooks.
I'm fine cutting both Cooks and Mike Williams for Mike
Hunter
Evans,
Renfrow and Mike Evans.
Hunter Renfrow. Elijah Moore, I'm a little
with Zach Wilson at the quarterback.
I want no piece of Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
but Mike Evans needs to be picked up for sure.
Deontay Johnson is locked into your lineup.
Yep.
So,
and I would say Michael Pittman is too.
Sure. Yeah.
Probably.
Mike Evans or Michael Pittman though. Mike Evans. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would just slightly.
Yeah, it's Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans out of all of those options.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Pitch says, do you see Cooper Kupp being picked in the first round next year? I see him being a top 3 wide receiver off the board next year, but that, as we saw this year, doesn't necessarily mean first round. There'll be some leagues where he goes in the first round, but he's likely an early second round pick in my eyes.
Exactly. I agree.
Let's see. J2 Nice said, need 2 and a flex. I got Zeke versus Saints, Elijah Mitchell versus Seattle, Jacobs versus Washington, Antonio Gibson versus Raiders. He's thinking about starting Zeke this week, or he doesn't know about starting Zeke this week versus a good run defense. So needs 3 of these to start. Josh, I see you smiling up there. Which 3 are you going with?
It's a tough question. It's a really tough question. Elijah Mitchell, after this past week, has got to be in there. No Devo. I'm definitely starting Elijah Mitchell. Are we going to trust Antonio Gibson after this week, guys?
I'm going to. It's Gibson, too. Zeke, and Mitchell for me. I really liked what I saw from Gibson yesterday. That was really encouraging.
So we're benching Jacobs?
Benching Jacobs out of these 4. And that's a great position to be in, J2 Nice. If Jacobs is on your bench behind 3 other running backs, really, really nice. Naven says, in non-PPR, is Gesicki still worth rostering, or should I drop him and look elsewhere? So in standard, is Gesicki even worth rostering?
Yeah. He absolutely is.
He's the number 8 tight end in standard right now. I know that's not like amazing, but he's still worth a roster spot. He's ahead of guys like TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, Muth, Goddard. Like, and you're not cutting those guys. So
yeah, that's true.
You're holding on to Gesicki. I know we've had some disappointing weeks from him, but he's a tight end, and tight ends are gross, and he's starting tight end and seems to get some volume right there. Let's see. Kaysen says, I got Debo and Tyreek as wide receivers and Mixon and Eckler, but IDK if I should trade for flex. I think you're good. I don't know who your flex is, but I wouldn't be trading any of those starting assets if your flex is even somewhat decent, Casey.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, you're solid. I mean, Debo's going to be out for a couple weeks probably here. So it depends what your situation is if you have to win, but you're good.
JR says different guillotine league need a wide receiver 2 and 3 and a flexor 2. So this looks like an update. Maybe I have Mike Evans, Brandon Cooks, Brandon Ayuk, T Higgins, and OBJ. I can bid on Waddle, Pittman, Devonta Smith, or Antonio Brown. This is awesome. That is awesome. So wide receiver 2, Mike Evans is in there automatically for me. And then it would probably be Waddle as the next guy in my mind. It would be Mike Evans, Waddle, and then probably
Pittman or Higgins.
Probably Pittman for me. So Jay, well, you agree with Evans and Waddle, and then you would go Pittman or Higgins?
Pittman or Higgins.
Josh, what about you?
I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah, and
we're on the same page.
And the guy I would drop real quick would be Ayuk and OBJ, and then maybe Cooks. Like Cooks would be my third option.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Agree, Jay.
Man, too much agreement today. Andrew said, should I prioritize Madison or Hubbard on the waivers? PPR? It's Madison for me. You're going to get at least 2 weeks out of him, and Hubbard has a brutal playoff schedule and some uncertainty with Amir Abdullah.
And he's just shown to be mediocre when CMC has already been out. So, and Madison can be a dog. So,
Josh, do you agree it's Madison?
It's Madison. And Dalvin Cook could be out longer than 2 weeks, too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Carlos said, any news on Chase Edmonds after losing CMC? I am starting Connor. And you know what, man? Things could be way worse than starting James Conner. Feel good about starting him. James Conner is the number 10 running back on the week. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're expecting snow in this game in Chicago against the Bears. There's like a chance of snow. If there is snow, someone said it on the last show. It was Bam or someone. They called their shot and said, I think it was Bam who said, if there's snow this weekend, James Conner is the RB1 overall. I'm not going that far. No, but James Conner is the top 12 guy this week for me, so you can feel fine plugging him in.
Oh, yeah. Feel very comfortable with it.
Feel very comfortable with that, man. Coming now says, Josh, hello.
Hello.
Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans need 3.
Not Brandon Ayuk.
It's Keenan Allen, Pittman. Jamar Chase, Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, yep. And then Pittman would be 4th.
Yep. I'm with you.
Same page.
Kaysen said, I have Mooney and Judy playing this week. Pray for the points. There's a
Mooney's been Mooney is a really good receiver, guys. I'm convinced. He is a really good receiver. You get someone, just maybe it's Fields at some point once he figures it out, but just get someone that can hit this guy deep, and he is going to be a locked and loaded top 20 receiver.
Yeah, Allen Robinson has 0 weeks over 11 fantasy points, and Mooney I think has 6 or 7. If that's
legit. Mooney's legit.
Mike wants to know, is Mooney good to go? Or is Murray good to go? It has been a month. Do we have any update on Kyler Murray?
Not exactly. I think they do expect him to play this week. He was, he's a game time decision last week. I think it was a game time decision the week before as well. But yeah, Murray, in my mind, is good to go.
Yeah, D-Hop is also looking good to go. And it felt like they were on a similar timeline. So.
Navin has to drop 2 players to activate Kamara and pick up a replacement for Rodgers. Which 2 would it be between Chuba, Khalil Herbert, Jeff Wilson, and Rashad Bateman? Honestly, while Bateman is probably the piece I'm most comfortable with out of all of these, he's probably also the most replaceable on your team whenever it comes to positional scarcity. So for me, it's Bateman plus Jeff Wilson is the 2 I'm dropping, but I really hate dropping Bateman. Josh, what do you think?
I agree. Bateman and Wilson.
Man, sorry, Bateman. J-Wall, which 2 would you be dropping?
Wilson for sure.
And you're between Bateman and Herbert, if I had to guess.
Bateman and Chuba, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Chuba has a role.
He does have a role.
3 of them.
I mean, if the Christian McCaffrey thing didn't happen, Chuba would be the easy answer.
So even then, like I said, but Bateman also, I would go Bateman.
Bateman and Wilson. Andrew says, in that case, this is the follow-up to his question earlier. Would you start Madison over J-Rob PPR?
Oh,
I am. This week, I am starting
so
Alexander
close.
Madison.
It's the Lions, 100%.
It's the Lions, exactly.
It's the freaking Lions. Alexander Madison's a borderline top 5 guy, a top 10 guy for sure this week going up against the Lions.
But see if you can still get J-Rob in your lineup somehow.
Yeah.
Because James Robinson's a top 10 guy too, probably. Man, yeah, that's a great problem to have.
In Madison, though. A little bit more faith in Madison.
Also, Uday, just wanted to clarify that this is redraft, not dynasty. So there isn't the keeper aspect to it. So we probably can't trade Henry. Are there any other trade suggestions that you guys have here? You can probably trade one of those tight ends. I don't know what you're getting in return. Maybe package Gronk plus AJ Brown and see if you can get a David Montgomery. That would
this
be
is
my
where I'm
suggestion.
trading AJ Brown probably.
Yeah, I think Brown plus one of those tight ends and see what you can get. J-Wall, anything stand out to you? These questions are also a little bit tough because we don't know what your league mates' teams look like. Trading in each league is different, but we can give you an idea of some tiers that we would be trading for.
I'm not sure I'm trading for a running back. I mean, I would have confidence starting Kamara and Hunt and hoping that Henry comes back eventually. I honestly I think I'd be trying to upgrade at wide receiver.
And trading AJ Brown to do so?
AJ Brown or Godwin plus one of those tight ends.
And try to grab one of like the top tier guys over there.
Yeah.
Mike says, should I start Tua over Murray since the weather may be iffy? If Murray is playing, I'm starting him over Tua. I am quite high on Tua this week, but if Murray is active, he's in my lineup. But Tua is a great option if Murray doesn't play. So you're good to go on that front. What about you guys? Are either of you starting Tua over Murray?
Couldn't do it.
Could do it, guys. We're going to run through these real quick, these last couple questions, and then we are going to get out of here today. Jason Peterson said, sit, start, tight end, PPR, Goddard, or Knox. Also, as Noah Fant, Logan Thomas, Foster Moreau on waivers, would you cut Goddard for any of them for this week and rest of season? So first, who would you be starting at tight end, Josh? Which of these guys?
Knox.
It's Knox for me as well. Yeah, Dawson Knox going up against New England.
Unless it's like a super snowy game up there in Buffalo, which is possible. I right now I don't think it's gonna be super snowy. It's gonna be like a wintry mix, you might say. But yeah, Knox.
Jared wants to know, play Mahomes or Stafford or Jalen Hurts, who is on the wire versus the Jets. So Mahomes, Stafford, or Jalen Hurts. It's Mahomes for me against Denver.
We just talked about in our last stream. Mahomes is one of the must starts for us.
Mahomes. Come here now. Beach 89 says Madison or Jamal Williams. It's Madison for me, but Jamal Williams is a good start as well.
Yeah, he's solid, but Madison by a long shot, especially again, they're going up against Jamal Williams in the Adams, or in the Lions. So,
Josh, this one is right for you. And I'm just wanted to hit both of Come Here Now Beach 89's questions. Would you drop Herbert for Tua, Josh?
Nope. Definitely not.
No, and I wouldn't either. And I like Tua a lot, but I would not be doing that. What about you, J-Wall?
No, I would not.
JR says, need 2 RBs, PPR, different guillotine league. I have Henderson, Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Jamal Williams, J-Rob, Demont, and Elijah Mitchell I can bid on. So which of these running backs? For me, it's Najee Harris and
100%.
And then it's tough between James Robinson, David Montgomery, and Elijah Mitchell. Those are the 3 other names I'm looking at here. Josh, where would you go?
Hendo would be in that conversation if he wasn't currently
hurt.
dealing with an injury. He probably would be my answer, but
he needs to start too.
It's J-Rob or Elijah Mitchell.
I'm going J-Rob.
I'll go J-Rob as well.
I'll go Elijah Mitchell, I think.
Okay.
They have not been using J-Rob very well in the red zone and on the goal line recently. I just think maybe there's some more scoring upside with Elijah Mitchell, but those guys are super close. JR said, great show. J-Wall steps right in. Indeed, he does with that beautiful stash. And Come Here Now said, I don't have Herbert. Just want to know if you agree Tua is better. Now, I think Herbert's still the guy, but I do like Tua.
Yeah.
I really do like Tua. Guys,
Herbert's just got the weapons too when it comes down to it. Yeah.
He does. That's going to be it for us today, guys, for Fantasy Football Office Hours. Thank you, everyone who came in with all of your questions, and thank you, J-Wall, for joining us and helping us out answering all of these. Guys, if you do not follow him already, go follow him on Twitter at JWall_FF and subscribe to his YouTube channel at 360 Fantasy. And while you're at it, head on over to our channel if you haven't subscribed yet at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that sub button.
And trading makes fantasy fun.
Trading makes fantasy so much fun. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Guys, we're going to hit one quick question before we jump off. Would you rather have Jaylen Waddle or Chris Godwin rest of season? It's Godwin, but Waddle has been turning it on, but it's Godwin for me.
That's a great question.
That is a really good question.
It's closer than you might think.
Oh, yeah.
It's Godwin.
I'm going Waddle.
Wow.
I'm going to shoot my shot and go Waddle.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, actually.
Yeah, me
I
too.
think they're close enough that I'm glad one of us went Waddle.
I think they're close enough, too, where really you could go either way and you could make a case.
And no problem. That's what we're here for, answering questions. Guys, that is going to be it for us. Adios, everyone.
Love you guys.